everyone, and welcome back to Death Holler. This is part 2 of the Child's Play episode. We're covering part 2 and 3. I am your host, Reverend Dr. Death. Joining me as always is Llareyna. This time we're covering Child's Play 2 from 1990. Tagline, sorry, Jack, Chucky's back.
I like it.
I like that one a lot, actually. And the cover, it fits with the cover too if you've ever seen the poster, because it's Chucky and he's cutting the head off of a Jack in the Box.
Yeah, that's my favorite poster.
Yeah, it's a really good one. It really is. Directed by John Lafia, written by Don Mancini. Again, like I said, I appreciate the fact that they kept the same person. If Wes Craven had done all of if he would have been willing to, because he didn't really feel like it needed any more than one movie. But if he'd done all of the Nightmare on Elm Streets, I feel like we would have got a better series out of that too.
Yeah.
But, music by Graham Revell. Budget is $13 million. It made $35.8. So
not bad, especially for a sequel.
Yeah.
Usually the sequels kind of take a pretty significant drop, although they still do well. They usually are a significant drop. So.
Yeah, they're usually, unless they're Scream, they usually, take a pretty big drop in the second film. Principal players, we've got Alex Vincent back playing Andy Barclay, or Final Boy. Brad Dourif playing Chucky again, possessed doll slasher. Christine Elise is playing Kyle in this, which is Andy's foster sibling. She was in ER. Beverly Hills 90210, Baywatch. I didn't put that on there, but that comes into the trivia a little bit. And of course, she came back for Cult of Chucky because Don Mancini loves, bringing the previous cast back, and she's involved in the Chucky TV series as well.
When you get a job with Don Mancini, you have a job for life.
If you do a good job. I think he likes to let some of them slide to the side, but if he really likes working with you, then you're coming back. Don Pugsley plays the good guy technician at the beginning of the film that is working on Chucky and brings him back and then gets killed for his good deeds.
Yes, good guy deed.
Good guy deed. He was in The Rocketeer, The Good German, Near Dark, and The Revenant.
The Rocketeer is a very underrated film.
Which one?
The Rocketeer.
Near Dark's also a very underrated film. I actually think that's a very good. It even has a better. If you're into romantic vampire movies, it's not like full romance. No, it's not. It's got a romance to it, but like there's enough deaths, blood, and gore to make it like a really good film from back in the day. It's good.
It's a horror western.
It's got some western vibes to it.
Okay.
Bill Paxton plays an amazing character in that movie. Like he takes like a psycho Billy character, as it were, and like makes him into like you add that to a vampire who's immune to basically anything but sunlight. And you got a pretty scary character on your hand.
Bill Paxton's got some baby fat in that movie. In the face.
Is that working for you? Is that doing something for you?
No, not at all. I'm talking about just in the face. He's got a baby fat face. Like, it doesn't look like him at first. I'm like, oh, he's just younger. He's just got, I don't know, a chubby little face.
Lance Henriksen's really good in that movie too, but I digress. We'll get to that when we get to Vampire Season, because we are going to cover that movie. It's worth it.
Well, alrighty.
Greg German plays Matson, the corporate sleazeball who runs the Good Guy or Play Incorporated, I believe is what it's called. I've got it in the synopsis, but he's the guy that runs the company and just says, Andy's a piece of shit. Don't believe him, or no, actually, I'm sorry. That's in part 3. Matson is the underling to that guy, the one that takes Chucky and then is going to go home with him.
Yeah.
Or and then because they say get him out of there because he's killed some people already to kind of cover things up. That's who Greg Matson's
did they?
Character
okay,
is.
wait. Because I know he said get him out, but did they think that he had actually killed the people?
It was hinted that they thought that he didn't necessarily kill him, but that something about the whole thing killed the person. So whenever it got out to the news, that that same doll killed people, then it would just add to the whole thing that Andy had said.
Okay, I have some questions that I might need your answers to, because maybe you have answers, maybe you don't. But okay, yes, because I know that they're trying to cover up. I know news had gotten out that there were some murders going on, and the kid was blaming the doll. Yeah, the kid's put away in a mental institution, whatever.
So was the mom.
Well, the mom
is, yeah.
And that's the thing is, like, what happened? Did the police officer? What happened to Officer Sarandon? Like,
that's the part that don't make any sense to me. The only thing I can think of in my head canon is that they, you know how politics go when it comes to police. They probably started like the doll company probably came to the police, started paying enough people in the right spots.
Okay.
And they came down on him and said, you either shut up or you're getting buried, like, so not in the sense they were going to kill him, but like he was going to be, like one of those cops that they put on sidewalk duty or whatever for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And he probably had to shut up, which if that's the case, then it makes you feel really shitty about him as a hero character.
Yeah.
Because, he basically let the corporate, bureaucrats like silence him,
Yeah.
That's one thing that I wish, and it's probably Chris Sarandon just not agreeing to come back.
True, yeah.
I wish Don Mancini would bring Chris Sarandon back into the series.
Yeah.
At this point, and that would kind of wrap. Maybe he could even address why he didn't speak out whenever he did about everything that happened.
Yeah. And maybe they put him away. I don't know. But anyways, okay, there's that. Yeah, I understand that they're trying to cover up completely. And then, of course, these two workers die, which they're rebuilding the doll. Why? I know it's for the movie purposes, but damn.
The reason I think they were rebuilding the doll is it's one of those things just like you could see Disney doing, where they're so full of themselves that they think that they're going to – it's like, there's nothing wrong with this doll. We're going to prove it to you. We're going to rebuild the damn thing. Some of their kids going to get it. It's going to be fine. We're going to kind of like what is that? The Amityville horror. Like, they talk about how the Lutz, whenever they left, after they left, the family that experienced everything there or not, depending upon how you believe things. Nobody else has ever experienced anything in that house since then. So I think this company thought if they handed this rebuilt doll off to somebody else and then, had video evidence that it didn't do anything to anybody else, then that would further discredit Andy, and then therefore they would get back in the good graces of everybody.
Why not just grab another doll, reprogram it to be like, hi, I'm Chucky, want to play? And
just because they want it to be that specific doll that God. Even if, they say there was a malfunction in that doll or something, then they could say, no, I mean, it's clearly, it's not doing anything.
Okay. Enough. I'm done with my questions.
It's not addressed, but I've always thought that's kind of where they came from in their mind, that they were so full of themselves that they literally thought that if we proved to everybody, then, we're clear, we don't have to worry about anything at that point.
It makes sense for sure. So
Greg German was in Ally McBeal through the entire run of it, I believe. Clear and Present Danger, The Sandlot 2, which I didn't realize was a movie, but I guess it's one of those, ones that came out on video like years after the original did, and done tons of other TV, including the Ghost Whisperers, which contains our favorite final girl that we've come across, Jennifer Love Hewitt.
I wouldn't say favorite final girl, but definitely
that was sarcastic.
I would say more buoyant, final girl.
Yeah, she's a little bit easier on the eyes than some of the other ones, I guess.
Yeah.
But, although Nev Campbell back in the day wasn't too bad either. So, Wild Things, anybody? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Shut up.
Beth Grant plays Miss Kettlewell, the unbelieving teacher. What a fucking bitch!
Oh yeah.
Every time this woman's in a movie, she plays a fucking bitch. I feel like, because if you've seen her in Donnie Darko, like. She is one of those super religious type characters in that movie, and you just can't stand her from the get-go. Like, I mean, she treats the main character Donnie like just awful throughout most of that film.
Yeah.
And then she's all about Patrick Swayze, which on the one hand, it's like, yeah, it's Patrick Swayze, so you can understand. But on the other, it turns out at the end of the film that he was a pedophile. So then you're like, you backed the wrong horse on that, Miss Kettlewell. Just saying. So she was in Speed, Little Miss Sunshine, No Country for Old Men, Donnie Darko, as I said, Willy's Wonderland. I think she plays maybe the female town sheriff. She's either the town sheriff or she's the lady working at the bar. But either way, she's complicit in trying to kill Nick Cage.
Oh, okay.
And we ain't about that shit around here.
No.
Nick Cage, he's a legend. He's a national treasure. But
shut up.
And she was in a movie called Grave Intentions. Garrett Graham plays Phil Simpson, the well-meaning grouch foster parent. I put well-meaning because I feel at times he was actually trying to help Andy, but he's such a dick that nothing that guy was going to do was going to work.
He kind of is, but he was also a little bit of a voice of reason because his very well good-intentioned wife is like, we're going to save this poor kid. And he's like, yeah, he's probably fucking fucked up in the head. And the dad was not wrong.
And he also, to his credit, I mean, I'll give him this. He looked at her and he said, and he was legitimately asking her, it's like, are we able to take care of this child? Which is a good question that all foster parents should always ask.
Yes.
Because, I mean, you don't want to be in a situation where, you know, the kid has like trauma that you can't deal with and you just fuck it up even worse.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. So,
I mean, there are some good points to feel. Like, he's not entirely just he's not like the doctor in the first movie. Like, there are some good sides to him, you know?
Yeah.
He was in Phantom of the Paradise, Chopping Mall, Terror Vision, My Girl 2, Not the Bees. There was no bees in that film, sorry.
What is that? What is that? What is it? Oh, no, not the bees! Not the bees!
I do believe, though, in My Girl 2, don't they reference Macaulay Culkin's death from the first movie? So it's kind of appropriate.
Yeah.
I think so. And then tons of TV, including Parker Lewis Can't Lose, which was an interesting show back in the day, but, like, just died. Like, nobody knows about it now. Jenny Gutter plays Joanne Simpson, who is the caring of the two foster parents. Like, I mean, she very much wants to help these kids, and you got to give her credit for that, if nothing else.
Yeah, she's like, she's definitely like, oh, look at this fucking poor puppy on the street. We're gonna raise it and make it right, you know?
Yeah, this broken child whose mother's in an insane asylum, this kid who thought that his doll was killing people. We're going to turn it around for this little boy. We're going to make his life better. No, you don't. You just don't. Sorry. She was in a movie Walkabout, Logan's Run, The Avengers, not the new one. I believe this is like an older film called The Avengers. An American Werewolf in London. She plays the hot nurse in that movie.
Ooh.
And she is smoking in that movie. Like, I mean, she's pretty good, pretty nice.
Real nice.
Real nice. Burke and Hare from 2010 and The Dark Tower from 1987, which by all accounts is one of those shitty Vinegar Syndrome movies that again, they put way too much emphasis into the packaging, and the movie itself is piece of shit.
Oh,
but
God.
you know, that's how it goes. One thing I'm going to say for her, I think this is in the trivia, she was really pissed off by the way that they ended her character in the movie, and I got to give her credit for this. She dies off screen, and I feel like that's the character deserved better than that. She really did. Like, I mean, if they're going to show Chucky killing her while she's like crying over her dead husband, at least show it to give her at least, because I don't feel as like a member of the audience that I got like a resolution from her. Like,
yeah,
it's just you see her and then she's just been strangled to death with like her own like sewing utensils and stuff, and that's it. So I mean, you know, kind of a bad way to take her out in the film since she's such a pivotal character. Yeah. But anyways,
Chucky don't give a fuck though. Chucky don't give a fucky.
He doesn't, but that John Lafia should have gave a shit, because I mean it's kind of a poor way to do a character that in a movie, because he gave more effort to Miss Kettlewell in the movie, and she's in it for like what 10 minutes at most. Grace Zabriskie.
Well, that's because we wanted to see her die.
Well, that's true. I mean, we really wanted to see that bitch go.
And I don't think she got killed the way she should have gotten killed.
You don't think getting like repeatedly hit. I think there's some karmic resolution to the fact that as one of those type of teachers, she got beat to death with like a yardstick. Like that's like the the whole thing they say about Catholic nuns and how they just like beat on these poor kids. I feel like that was a deserving death of her. Like she got the punishment she dished out all the kids.
Yeah, but I don't know.
You just wanted to see her tortured for a little bit before
Probably,
she died.
Yeah.
Grace Zabriskie plays Grace Poole, the social worker. She was in Armageddon, Wild at Heart, Inland Empire, The Grudge, The Quarry video game, Gone in 60 Seconds, Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me, and Fried Green Tomatoes.
I love Fried Green Tomatoes. That's a good movie.
That is a good movie, and it's actually, I feel like that's a little bit of human horror to a certain extent, even though they don't play it up that way. I mean, when you get right down to what happens in that movie.
Yeah.
But regardless. But yeah, great film. I love it. And then Vince Melici plays the factory technician at the end who he needs a new set of glasses after what happens to him. Just saying, like, he's not seeing too well.
Oh,
but
my
anyways.
God.
Synopsis: trying to cover up the bad PR after the incident with Andy Barclay and his mother, the Play Pals Corporation has decided to reassemble the Chucky doll to reassure its stockholders that nothing is wrong with the toy. However, as soon as he is completed, Chucky kills the technician who finished working on him, starting a whole new string of murders. Andy, meanwhile, is in foster care because his mother had a mental breakdown and deemed unfit to care for him. A new foster family reluctantly takes him in, hoping they can care for a mentally challenged boy and get into more trouble than they could have ever anticipated. Naughty teachers are shown a lesson. Doubting foster parents meet their demise, and one unlucky technician has trouble seeing the danger in front of his face.
My God.
But, look out, Jack. Chucky's back. Body count, 8.
A respectable 8.
Yes. Good guy technician, electrocuted and thrown through a window.
Sweet.
Love it. Matson suffocated with a plastic bag.
That was my least favorite.
Yeah, but he's a Lakeshore Strangler, so it's appropriate.
That's true, yeah.
And also, why did the guy agree? I never understand this. I know he was like held at gunpoint or something like that, but you never let them tie your hands behind the seat because you're not getting out of that. Like, there's no way to get away from that.
Oh, he thought if he was complicit, he just, did what he was told, he would get out okay. The guy would run away. Spoiler alert, he didn't.
Miss Kettlewell beaten to death with a yardstick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Phil Simpson's neck's broken from a fall. Joanne Simpson's throat slit off screen. Boo.
Boo.
Grace Poole stabbed 3 times in the chest. Factory technician slashed with a knife and then has his eyes gouged out. So good. So good. Chucky burned with molten plastic and then has his head blown up. Yes.
Yes. I have to say, I rarely like when the slasher is getting killed. Not that I don't. It's usually just not the best one to me. This one was the best. This was my best kill of the movie.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's hard to, the way that they take him out in this movie is so good.
Well, then in part 3, they play it up. It's like they're replaying the whole thing again, showing him being recreated. And spoiler alert, that scream when he comes back to life in that body. Mwah.
Chef's kiss.
Yes.
Other taglines for this film, it's playtime again. Nope. Mm-mm. This fall, Chucky rules.
Nope, not it.
That sounds like a sitcom to me or something. Chucky rules this fall on Peacock.
Yeah, rules in school.
In 1988, he started us with a frightening vision. Then he was destroyed and left for dead. Now, ... What were they writing, a novel?
What the hell? TLDR, too long, didn't read.
This one's the same, but at the end it says, then he was destroyed and left for dead. Now he's about to be reborn.
Yeah.
Nope. And this one, I love this one. Keep an eye out for it.
But
That one's so good just because of the kill that it's associated with.
Well, there's multiple
I give 'em
situations where eyes are a thing in this film, obviously right at the beginning and then, of course, at the end. So,
quotes in this movie. Andy approaches the good guy doll who reminds him of Chucky. I hate you. Chucky in a good guy voice. Hi, I'm... And then he pauses for a second. Tommy, and I'm your friend to the end. Howdy ho.
ha, ha, ha.
I love how Brad Dourif delivers this line because me and my wife, we were watching this. We just looked at each other and we laughed because he so clearly thinks it's like, what was the name of that fucking doll? Tommy. That's what it was.
Oh, yeah. That's the ticket.
It's so comically done, but I love it. Chucky, surprise. Did you miss me, Andy? I'm sure you did. I told you we were going to be friends to the end, and now it's time to play. I've got a new game sport. It's called Hide the Soul. And guess what? You're it. Ade, Due, Dambala, give me the power, I beg. And then, of course, he gets, interrupted by Kyle at that point. But there you go. Chucky, this isn't over, you little shit. I'm not going to spend the rest of my life as a plastic freak. Next time you're alone, you're mine.
Oh, God. No.
Again, out of context.
Yeah.
I mean, Chucky approaches the teacher out of the closet with a long ruler. You've been very naughty, Miss Kettlewell.
That could have been one of those movies that Donnie G downloaded. The wrong movie.
With the proper music playing in the background. Yeah. The now chicken wow wow.
Oh, my God. I wonder if I still have that on here. Hold on. Oh, I don't. Oh, God. I don't want to play that one. Oh, boy. Okay. Just kidding.
Chucky realizing that he's trapped as a doll forever after the unsuccessful voodoo ritual, and then he corners Andy with a knife. You little shit. You know what you've done? It's too late. I've spent too much time in this body. I'm fucking trapped in here. The policeman in the car. What the hell's that? Then Kyle looks over at Chucky. You seen those dolls that pee? This one bleeds.
Oh, yeah.
And then Chucky, how's it hanging, Phil? Chucky, I'm gonna get you fuckers. Chucky, you goddamn women drivers. I love that line.
Chuckles.
I mean, the funny thing about that is like he says so many things that are like un PC, but it fits. It's like he was I mean, he was a very un PC serial killer when he was alive. He would say shit like that. I mean, visually, I like this movie in ways better than the first one, and I'll tell you why. When they play up the childlike part of the movie to go with the title of the Child's Play, the way that they use colors, like those basic, primary colors, like the red, green, whatever, yellow, or I guess it's red, blue, and yellow, or whatever, and then like all the ones around it. They are so bright and so cheery to offset what's going on screen. I love it. I love everything about it. And that scene at the end of the movie inside of the factory is one of the best scenes in all these slashers to me as a kid, because that was this. I realized when I was watching this movie that this is the movie that I watched more as a child than any other slasher, because that last part was one of my favorite things to watch, was Chucky chasing them around that, factory.
Yeah.
I just visually, I love it. And there's scenes inside the house where they get the darkness the same way. And then like the scene outside where Kyle is like, swinging back and forth, and her like foot reveals Tommy's, foot. And that's when she realizes that, Chucky is not the same doll that was in the house before.
Yeah.
The way that they light that scene and how dark it is, there's a lot of good stuff in this movie, I think, visually.
Yeah.
Story, I like how they did the story in this. I think it makes sense. I don't like the fact that they made Chucky's mom like psychotic. I think that's, and then like you said, the fact that the cop, I mean, it kind of reduces the heroism of like Chris Sarandon from the first movie if you really think about it.
Yeah.
But I like how they set up that Andy is like, being bounced around all these foster homes, because it's tragic, but at the same time, it's probably what would happen.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes sense. That's the story of it. Visuals, I feel like we did it's about the same. The acting was not as good in this film as the previous. I don't feel like it was.
the core people in the movie are not as good. Like you've got the social worker is not as strong as anybody in the first movie.
Yeah.
Miss Kettlewell is one of those character actors that you see in a movie. She's fine for what she does.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit over the top. I mean, it is. Bill, the two foster parents are not too bad. They're not great, but they're not terrible.
They're really generically there. I would say that Andy carries the film, which is fine.
He does. Kyle is pretty good too, though. I like a lot of stuff with her.
Kyle, yeah. Andy and Kyle. I keep forgetting Kyle's a girl. It's such a weird name for a girl, but yeah. It
is, but it's one of those. She's one of those. I don't know how to say it, but like one of those almost punk rock, like 80s girls or something. So I mean, it kind of fits that her name is Kyle, but they do carry the movie. Them and Chucky, obviously.
Oh well,
they're
obviously,
the three,
yeah.
You know, but you're right. As far as the supporting actors and actresses, they're at best they're average. They're not like in the first movie.
Yeah, the first movie I feel like had way more stronger actors in it. And it also, it seemed more of a horror film. Like, I'm not going to pretend that Chucky didn't have some good, scary parts in it, but I feel like it went more comedic a little too quickly in this film.
It does to a certain extent, but at the same time, this is the one movie, this is, to me, my Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely not Part 2.
Yeah, this is the one that has the best mix of the horror and the comedy of all the movies, because like, you know, that end scene where Chucky is chasing them around, I mean, they play that up straight horror. Like when he's trying to come at Andy up that, like, not really an elevator, but like an escalator type situation that's like inside the factory. Yeah. He's legit trying to kill Andy at that point. Like he doesn't care anymore.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but I agree with you. It's not, the horror is not as much as it was in the first film.
Yeah. As for the music, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't really notice it in this film.
I did, but I'll tell you why, because I think it's because this is my favorite of the Child's Play movies. Okay. I mean, I like it more than Part 1. And this might be partly nostalgia, but I love that scene at the end in the factory.
Yes. Very memorable.
When you go back and you listen to this, and this might be something you might want to include later in the, you know, like the music for this section or whatever, go back and listen to it, because it's got a nice quality, because this is the only one that's got that, like, it's almost like a Jack in the Box style music. Yes. It's like, it's got that little childlike, you know, it's got a little bit of menace to it, but it's got like these little sounds that they include that's almost like a carnival or something. Yeah. That's the best I can describe it. But
I bet you that's what they're going to play at HHN in the houses.
Something like that, yeah. But I mean, it stood out to me. I liked what they did with it that way. Anything else you want to say about the movie in general?
Yeah, in general, I didn't dislike this movie. This movie's a good movie. I rewatched it while I was building my 12-foot skelly, but it's definitely not my favorite.
If you're talking about the series, I'd be hard pressed to say that it's not my favorite. It and Bride are my two that would be my picks. They're pretty close.
Yeah.
I like Part 1. I like Part 1 way better as an adult than I did as a kid.
Yeah.
Because like I said, this one was the one that I watched as a child all the time, because it was like it just made more sense to me. Like the end of it, like in the factory, I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And I still think that about that scene.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to appreciate about the first one when you go back and you actually look at it from a critical view, as opposed to this one. Like you said, like when the foster parents, it's a different type of situation inside their house. And like Andy's different because he knows more about Chucky. So he's like, there's not as much threat there, but I don't know. I still like a lot to this movie.
Yeah.
So, trivia, we'll get into that. There were many rumors about why Catherine Hicks didn't reprise her role as Karen Barclay in the sequel, with with the most popular being that she was pregnant by her husband, Kevin Yeager, who operated the animatronic Chucky doll. But the simple fact was that director John Lafia wanted to take the story in a new direction, a direction that didn't include her character aside from an unfilmed opening courtroom scene that that had her to be sent to a mental institution. Despite not reprising her role, she was constantly on set for the sequel to visit her husband.
Aw.
So that's nice.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if I have this in here, but Ed Gale was, who played the little Chucky, little person that played Chucky in the first film. He was not asked to be in this movie, and it was kind of his falling out with the movies because John Lafia wanted to move all puppets stuff in this movie. And so he basically and Ed Gale was waiting for the phone call, and he offered. He's like, I'd love to work on it, and they told him, he's like, yeah, we're going a different direction. We don't need you. So It kind of soured him. It really soured him on working with it.
Yeah,
anymore. And he's went back and said since then that he wishes that he could have worked on more films for the series, but Lafia just had a different opinion about how the movie should play out. So it's what it is. The original script had an opening scene of a court hearing dealing with events of the previous film, with Karen Barclay and Mike Norris defending Andy, where the remains of Chucky's burned body being stored in an evidence locker, which featured an Easter egg cameo featuring Freddy's glove, Jason's hockey mask, etc. But it was then taken by the executives of the Playhouse Company to rebuild it. Catherine Hicks was to reprise her role in the sequence, but it was cut before filming. This would have actually been the one link between the movies that would have actually gave Mike Norris like what you wanted out of the movie.
Exactly. Even if they had still put her in a mental institution as well as him, I think that it still, one, would have been a beneficial part of the movie. Two, would have kept his, he might have gotten in trouble or whatever. They would have still had him on the force, but he could. I don't know. I don't know how they would
showed him standing up for the people.
Yeah.
Elements of this scene did reappear though in a similar courtroom scene in Curse of Chucky, and the evidence locker opening was retooled in Bride of Chucky, obviously, because that's how Jennifer Tilly, got Chucky in that movie. Don Mancini stated that in an earlier draft of his script, the film was set during the Christmas season. This would have explained why so many good guy dolls were in the factory during the finale.
Okay.
Because they were ramping up to make more for Christmas. The good guy doll, Tommy, is named after the original Child's Play director, Tom Holland.
Oh, my God.
Jennifer Gutter has disavowed this film and hates it, saying that it was one of the worst filming experiences she's ever had. She was particularly disappointed when a lot of her best scenes were left on the cutting room floor, reducing Joanne to basically a minor character. I mean, she has some points.
Yeah.
Can't really argue with that. Lafia decided he didn't want to use a little person to roll Chucky and went with 9 puppeteers to get the effect shots instead.
Dumb, I think.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, I like whenever they get away from the little person thing because it does make the character look more like a doll in a lot of the scenes, but at the same time, it gets janky looking in scenes too. So
you gotta remember though, this is a doll that's progressing into a human. It's turning into a human, so I feel like you need that human element still.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have hurt the movie if they'd had, and they did like they did in the first movie and just kind of cut around it and did like little quick shots to where it didn't stand out as much. Christina Elise, who played Kyle, was passed over in her first audition. She actually got the job during a callback. She was filming Baywatch at the time and had a bit more of an attitude during the audition. The way that she described it is that she was like she was going to have to be back on the set for Baywatch. They were kind of running her over on the second audition. And she was just like, and the way that she was acted towards them was like a little bit bratty. And she thinks that's what landed her apart because Kyle is a little bit bratty. So the way that she kind of gave them lip, they were like, that's the way the character is. You're hired, so her being a kind of a bitch kind of worked, Alex Vincent told Elise that she was the nicest person he worked with on those first 2 films and that she was like a big sister to him, which is pretty nice. That's pretty wholesome,
Yeah.
The movie was filmed on the same lot that had the old Phantom of the Opera set, which was one of the oldest film lots that Universal had or sets. It has since burned down.
Lame.
But that's pretty cool that they were still filming on like the old Universal Monsters set for this movie.
Yeah.
Death Holler Awards for the final boy, Andy Barclay. He's as good in this movie. There's no problem with his acting whatsoever. He actually has more of the final girl trope in the sense that he takes the fight more to, I mean, he still has assistance from Kyle, but I mean, he's still a kid too. But I mean, he does take the fight to Chucky. Actually, he, if I remember right, like he starts like hitting Tommy and all that, like, you know, before he realizes it's Chucky, and like, and he actually tries to take the, was a turkey carver, like the automatic turkey carver. He tries to finish Chucky off at the basement before Phil comes down, so he tries to kill Chucky. Yeah,
no, he still wants to live for sure.
Chucky, he's great Chucky in this movie. Yeah. Best kill, I gotta give it to the good guy's technician with his eyes gouged out. You don't get that scene in any other movie, like where their eyes get replaced with doll's eyes like that. That's great.
Yeah, I thought it was going to happen at the beginning of the film, and it doesn't. Obviously, we just get the electrocution. My favorite death by far is Chucky's, but if we're going to have to make it a person's death or where it's not the slasher, it's going to have to be the technician getting his eyes gouged out.
We don't have to make that because I would say that Chucky death is like every bit as good.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's why I like that last scene in this movie so well. There's so many good parts to this last third of this movie.
Yeah.
The whole thing where Chucky's like having Kyle drive him around. I love every bit of that. Best scream, Miss Kettlewell right before she gets what's coming to her.
Yes.
Creepiest quote taken out of context. Next time you're alone, you're mine.
Your butt is mine.
I'm going to hide the soul, if you know what I mean. Best side character. She's technically a main character, but Kyle, I mean, I like her in this movie a lot. I mean, Franklin Award goes to Phil Simpson. I mean, he tried, but at the same time, he was annoying as fuck. So you get the Franklin
And
Award.
He's a loser, so Franklin.
How annoying is the Doom Prophet? It's Andy again, and nobody believes him again.
So, I mean, oh my god! I have to admit that he is a bit annoying, as in terms of the Doom Prophet, because he's got that kid whine. But it was Chucky, you know. It's
there is that he's got more of it in this movie.
Yes,
it's a little worse.
And I don't like that, so that doesn't sit well with me.
Dumbest moment. Again, Madison complying with Chucky to allow him to tie his hands behind him.
Oh, yeah.
Like, dude, you just fucked yourself. There's no way you're going to be able to, whatever he wants to do, if he wants to play hide the soul on you, I mean, you're going to get it, if you understand what I'm saying.
You could have stuck his doll dick in his mouth for all we would have known and choked him with that, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, it's proven in Bride of Chucky.
Oh, stop it.
I'm just saying. On to part 3 from 1991, Child's Play 3. Tagline, look who's stalking.
That's fucking awesome. I like that one.
Especially after Look Who's Talking, it already came out.
Yeah, you know, and I think that, I want to say that was like 1990 or something-ish, or 89.
Mm-hmm. Directed by Jack Bender, written by Don Mancini again, music by John DeAndre and Corey Lirios. Made for a budget of $13 million. It only made $20.5.
Ooh. Wah, 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 wah.
Principal players. Justin Whalen is playing Andy in this one instead of Alex Vincent.
Okay.
Who's our final boy in this movie. He was in Serial Mom, the 2000 Dungeons and Dragons, and The House That Jack Built.
Okay.
Brad Dourif's playing our possessed doll slasher Chucky again. Perry Reeves is playing Kristen Da Silva, which is Andy's love interest. She's been in Entourage and Old School. What'd you think about Kristen? She wasn't bad looking. I don't feel like. I mean, she obviously got a little bit of a little bit more manly, a little bit more macho than a lot of women. But I mean, kind of had to be to fit into the military academy, I guess.
Yeah. She wasn't bad. I didn't think of her as overly macho in the film. And I think the more scared she gets in the film, the more feminine she looks.
That is true. She really does. Jeremy Silvers plays Ronald Tyler, Chucky's new target. Peter Haskell plays Mr. Sullivan, the corporate CEO and greedy bastard of the Play Pals Corporation. He was also in Child's Play 2 in that scene where he tells Mattson to get the doll out, and he's been in a ton of TV appearances. Terry Wills plays the garbage man, who is the conscientious blue-collar worker just trying to do his job and save somebody who happens to have got in the back of his fucking truck. But no, he gets fucking killed because of his good deed.
Wow, his good guy deed.
Sister Act was another movie he was in, as well as Escape from Alcatraz. Dakin Matthews plays Colonel Cochran. He was in Lincoln, True Grit, 2010 remake, and tons of TV appearances. Andrew Robinson plays Sergeant Botnick, who's a little too into crew cuts. Kind of creepy about him. It's like he likes rubbing younger people's hair, like particularly younger men. It's Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, Dirty Harry, Cobra, tons of TV appearances, and he played the main antagonist, except for old Pinhead, in the Hellraiser movie from 1987. I think he played the Uncle Frank character in that movie, and he is sadistic and gross in that movie because most of the movie he has no skin and he's all muscle and blood.
Yeah.
Travis Fine plays Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Brett Shelton, who's just an all-out prick. I mean, that's all you can say about this son of a bitch. He was in Tomcats and Girl Interrupted. Dean Jacobson plays Cadet Harold Whitehurst, who is actually Andy's friend in the movie, but he's kind of a pussy too, and he won't stand up for Andy, so he's not that good of a friend.
Yeah.
He was in the movie Junior. And then Michael Schifo plays the Carnival security guard, and he was in LA Confidential. Synopsis: 8 years have passed since the events of Child's Play 2, and Andy Barclay, failing to fit in any of his foster homes, has been placed in a military academy. This, unfortunately, coincides with the revival of the Good Guys line by the Play Pals Incorporated. As the manufacturing begins, some of Charles Lee Ray's blood is mixed with the molten plastic of the dolls, and Chucky is revived once again. Chucky kills the CEO and tracks down Andy, only to be delivered to another child in the Kent Military Academy, Ronald Tyler. This somehow resets Chucky's clock to become human, and Andy must help Tyler escape Chucky before he is soul swapped in this one.
Yeah.
Poor sanitation workers are killed just for doing their fucking job. Blank rounds get swapped for live ones during a training exercise, and Andy finally gets a girlfriend. There comes a time to put away childhood things, but some things just won't stay put. Body count's another 8, so not bad.
Okay, we're consistent.
Yeah. Mr. Sullivan is strangled to death with a yo-yo, which is appropriate for a movie about a killer doll.
Yeah.
The garbage man is crushed to death in a garbage truck. Good death. I just don't. I don't like how it happened to the guy, but whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Charles Lee Ray doesn't care who he kills. Colonel Cochran has a heart attack, which is funny because it fits in with how the one semi-pedophilic character from Dolly Dearest died. They both died of heart attacks. Sergeant Botnick has his throat slit with a razor, which is appropriate for him because he's all about giving haircuts. Ugh. And so, I mean, that kind of fits for him.
Yeah.
Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Brett Shelton is shot kind of accidentally by another cadet who doesn't realize they're firing live rounds. Cadet Harold Whitehurst is actually sacrifices himself to be blown up by a grenade, proving that even if he was a pussy, he did have Andy's back in the end. So there you go.
Yeah.
Carnival security guard is shot in the head off screen, and then Chucky is chopped to pieces by an OSHA violating fan. That's all from the Dead Meat Wiki, and I gotta give those guys credit. They crack me up whenever they put like those little descriptors in there, because they are right. OSHA would not allow that fan to be uncovered inside of that like little HHN style haunted house.
Oh my God.
Other taglines: Chucky goes ballistic.
No.
Chucky has a new playmate.
It's not terrible, but
it's actually accurate to the film too, because remember, Chucky grabs Andy's playmate, or Playboy in the movie, and like kind of flips through the book, and of course Ronald Tyler's a new soul that he might be able to swap. So there's that. Quotes, Sullivan: "This is Andy Barclay. 8 years ago, he touched off the scandal that nearly crippled this company, claiming his good guy doll Chucky was possessed by Charles Lee Ray, the notorious Lakeshore Strangler." Chucky: "Who the fuck are you?" Tyler: "I thought good guys only said 3 sentences." Chucky: "I'm new and improved." Chucky: "Oh, you got to be fucking kidding me." Chucky: "I got a new." Chucky: "I got a new game we can play. It's called Hide the Soul. Trust me, you'll love it."
Okay, but that's not a new game. You've been playing that since at least the second film.
Yeah, but Ronald Tyler doesn't know that, and it's also, again, out of context. It's very creepy. Colonel Cochran: "At Kent, we take bedwetters and we turn them into men. So grow up, Barkley. It's time to forget these fantasies of killer dolls." He pays for that.
Yeah.
Andy Barclay: "Disturbed to find out that Chucky's still alive." "No, you're dead. We killed you." And then Chucky: "You know what they say, you just can't keep a good guy down."
Shut the fuck up. I forgot about that. But
my favorite one, Chucky: "Don't fuck with the Chuck."
That's another good one. Yeah, okay. They got way better this film.
Chucky looking at Andy's copy of Playpen, an adult magazine: "Andy, how you've grown." Also could be taken out of context in a bad way. Chucky: "I've got some fresh meat lined up, and I'm not going to let you spoil it this time." And Andy's like, "Tyler." Chucky's like, "Yeah, just think. Chucky's going to be a bro."
God.
Chucky: "Just like the good old days. Nothing like a good strangulation to get the circulation going."
Oh, my God.
Chucky: "Tyler, come out wherever you are. Ollie oxen free. Get out here, you little son of a bitch."
Wow.
Sergeant Botnick: "The Romans invented the military cut. You know why?" Andy Barclay says why. Sergeant Botnick: "To keep their hair short so their enemies wouldn't grab a hold of it in battle and slit their throat." Foreshadow.
Yeah.
Chucky watching enviously as Andy shares a passionate kiss with Kristen De Silva. "Damn, I got to get out of this body."
Yeah, and he looks at his body too while he says it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Visually, this movie is not as good as the first two. It's a little bit drab in a lot of scenes, I think. It's almost got like this gray overcast.
Yeah.
Like, it fits with a military academy because it's all drab and all that, but like it looks cheaper than the first two movies.
It does, and you almost expect more because you're like, okay, well, this is the newer of the films in terms of time-wise, and it's like it doesn't look much newer.
No, and outside of a few specific kills, there's not anything that's as inventive and as visually interesting in this movie as there was in the first two. So I feel like it kind of drops the ball on that a little bit as well. Story wise, it's not bad. I mean, setting in a military academy keeps the setting to one particular place. You introduce more people. I like the idea of Chucky like swapping out the blank rounds with the live ones is pretty good. I mean, that's it's scary to think about, but I mean, like it's something he would do in that situation.
Absolutely. I like the setting of being in military school because it also it shows how troubled Andy was still, because that's usually what happens to displaced foster youth, or he grew out of foster and now he needs somewhere to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good continuation of his story to kind of lead him along the path that they were setting up. So I don't disagree with that. and really, some of the characters in the movie are not that bad. I do like his interactions with the Silva, Whitehurst, Tyler's not too bad. And then some, like, Cochran and Botnick, they're interesting, like, foils to the character. It's just I don't know. It almost feels like a movie like that you would see on TV, though. It's like they took the scope and they shrunk it down, even though the scope was just like a house or an apartment in the first movie and a foster home for most of the second movie. Something about this military academy just felt shrunk down. I don't know what it was, but like it felt less than the previous ones. A little bit.
I agree.
Acting, I feel like that's probably why it might have felt less. I mean, I like the Lieutenant Colonel Shelton or whatever, because he's that classic, like, had that little bit of a Southern accent, like barking orders. Botnick wasn't too bad. I mean, but like a lot of the other even like the Silva wasn't the strongest like actress. Like she's okay, but like, and Waylon, I don't know. It's interesting when we get into trivia. I mean, Alex Vincent was fine with coming back for a third movie, but this movie came so close to the previous one that he wasn't age appropriate.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see what Alex Vincent did in that role instead of Waylon, because I feel like Waylon was okay, but he didn't I feel like Vincent did a better job than he did. So, any other thing you have to say about the acting and the music didn't stand out at all in this movie to me. So
music, nothing to me. Acting, I actually didn't mind Andy and De Silva at all, because you got to remember they're still technically kids. They're not kids, but these aren't experienced kids. They're just because they're in the military academy. It's not,
I guess, but here's the thing. You had such a good child actor in Alex Vincent to see somebody who's older, who should have stood out as much and doesn't. Because older actors and actresses, even if they are still like kids in theory, they should have better range than a child actor should. Yeah.
No, the kid blows them out of the water by all means,
And I think that's what hurts it. I will say one thing about the visuals. I do like that haunted house at the end of the movie. That was a good place to set the ending in.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably what gave this movie a little bit more of a boost in terms of horror.
Yeah, so, a little bit.
Yeah,
this is the least liked of. Outside of maybe Seed, because Seed's very divisive.
Oh my god, yeah.
But this is the least liked for sure of the Child's Play. Like everybody who talks about the movie, it's like, yeah, Child's Play 3 is okay. And I mean, I remember as a kid watching it, but I would always be like, man, even as a kid, I was like, they came out with this after they came out with part 2. Like,
yeah,
I don't. It's just, I mean, it's kind of a letdown. It really is.
Yeah.
Trivia. Under pressure from Universal, screenwriter Don Mancini was asked to begin writing the third film even before the second film was released. Hence, the picture was released only 9 months after Child's Play 2 in 1990. Mancini has called it his least favorite because he felt he was out of ideas so soon after the second installment.
Yeah.
That's probably why the movie feels so small and why it was set in the location it was. Because he didn't really, he was just like, I don't know, military academy,
It's also what happens when you rush somebody. Like, let the shit come organically,
Yeah, and I think that's the reason Bride was so well received, because he had so many years between those. It was like 8 years between those movies.
Oh, yeah.
And like he'd had time. He's like, I know what I'm doing for the next one. Like, he'd worked on it for so long. Alex Vincent was willing to reprise his role as Andy, but the script called for Andy to be around 16 and Alex was only 10 at the time of the filming.
That wasn't going to work.
The movie was the center of a tabloid panic in Great Britain, with one newspaper, The Sun, even demanding existing copies be burned. Journalists claimed that the film had influenced 2 10-year-old boys in their murder of a younger child. 2 10-year-old, of a 2-year-old, James Bulger, although it was later determined that neither had actually seen the film. So it was one of those things where
satanic panic.
They claimed it was the movie, and then the kids hadn't even seen it. So.
Yeah.
John Ritter was originally supposed to appear as a security guard at the Good Guy doll factory in a sequence where some kids sneak into the factory and discuss the Chucky myth. Ritter would, of course, later appear in Bride of Chucky in a supporting role.
Oh, my goodness. I love John Ritter.
He played a good asshole in that movie.
Yeah.
This was the first film in the series to use computers to aid in Chucky's puppetry in order to perfect the lip syncing.
Okay.
The box office disappointment of this movie, it made only $20.5 million on a $13 million budget, is the reason there was not another Chucky movie for 7 years until Bride came out in 98.
Good.
Yeah, they needed time to go back and let Don Mancini like recharge and, you know, get back to the well.
Yeah.
Andy is okay in this. That's just all you can say about him. Chucky's still good, though. He's the highlight of the movie.
Well, of course. But in terms of Andy, like, you would think that this was the same actor that was playing Andy the entire time, and he's just fucking over it, and this actor was not. This was his first time.
Yeah, this was just a totally different one. Best kill for me was either Chucky at the end of it with a fan chopping him into pieces.
I love that one.
Or, I put Mr. Sullivan, but I don't think that, not with a heart attack. The one that I think what I meant to say was Botnick, because having his throat slit, because he was such a creepy guy in the movie. Just seeing him get killed the way that he was, like, you know, talking about to Andy was like, you know, karma.
I agree with that one. Although I was glad to see Mr. Sullivan die of a heart attack. He deserved it. I mean, he deserved more.
Yeah, he actually did. I mean, it was best scream. Nobody screams in this movie because they're all hardened military.
That is a lie. I have a best scream for this film.
Okay.
I've already mentioned it right at the beginning when you're seeing Chucky being rebuilt. That shit is burned into my head when he screams, when he comes back to life.
Oh, when Chucky screams. Yes. Okay.
When the doll you see it getting remade with the blood and everything. And then after his face finally forms into a doll face, all of a sudden the mouth opens and it's like, ah, and it's him. Fucking love it. I was like, he's fucking back. I love it.
Fair point. I guess I totally forgot that because slashers don't typically, but he does. That's a good scream. So yes,
he's back in the body. He's not happy about being back in the body.
Creepiest quote taken out of context. Andy, how you've grown. I've got a new game we can play. It's called Hide the Soul. Trust me, you'll love it. Both of those qualify. Gross. Best side character for me was that garbage man.
Yeah.
I mean, doing his job. I mean, you know, I give him his credit since the movie clearly didn't.
Yes.
Franklin Award goes to Sergeant Botnick because one more thing about hair, and oh my God, shut up. You know?
Quit being a creepy creeper 10. Fucking Quentin Tarantino in your feet.
I guess Andy's still the Doom Prophet because Tyler doesn't consider Chucky a threat. So Andy's the only one really telling anybody about it.
Yeah, it's still Andy, which is whatever.
Dumbest moment. I don't know. What do you think? Is there any really dumb moments in this movie? I mean, other than them rebuilding Chucky at the beginning of it, but that's a whole separate thing.
Who was rebuilding him at the beginning?
He just randomly got rebuilt, and the funny thing is, they rebuilt him with a metal skull this time, so he's even harder to kill.
Okay, but they're rebuilding. But like that factory looked like it was run down and had fucking spider webs on some of the doll parts. Did I mistake that? Did I missee something?
No, that's what I was saying in the story. It's been 8 years since they've produced the Good Guy doll. They're restarting the line, so they went back to the original factory.
Now it's clicking. Yeah,
and I don't think they meant to rebuild Chucky. It just so happened his blood mixed in with the dolls, and one of them got rebuilt as Chucky.
Yeah, and I know that it was a robotic arm that picked up that doll slosh, but like it's been 8 years. How's there still blood in that thing? Fresh blood, too. It's not even coagulated.
Yeah, it was very fresh.
It's not oxidized blood. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm just like, okay, whatever. 2, the doll arm ran it right over where they're mixing the doll. I don't know. Whatever. Makes me fucking mad.
So I guess dumbest moment is them rebuilding Chucky. There you go.
In general, yeah.
Definitely, if I was going to rank these first three movies, it would be 2, 1, with 1 being very close to 2, and then 3 in a distant third, because the third one's okay. I didn't even contemplate. I almost thought for a second not to even rewatch it for this review, and I'm like, no, I'll give it a chance.
Gotta do it, yeah.
Yeah, but when I did, I was like, yeah, it's okay. It's but I had so much fun watching Bride after this. And
I bet you did.
Well, I mean,
everyone loves Tiffany.
Yeah,
Tiffany titties.
Even women love Tiffany.
I know.
Don't you start that.
Oh my God.
She is a lesbian, bi, whatever, icon. So, I mean, for a lot of people.
Yeah. For me, it's 1, 2, and 3. It's just in that order.
I can understand if you don't like, if you want to, because 1 is a really good movie. It really is.
Yeah.
So, I just, there's elements about part 2 that I find more fun. So that's why I kind of go with it over the first one. But yeah, they're pretty close.
Yeah.
And then of course, Chucky,
Chucky.
He's great.
Good old Chuckles. Good guy, Chucky.
Leanne to it. Is there, you still doing those, or how's that going for you?
Right now we are not. I know the hubby's working on getting a co-host that is a little more consistent. I mean, I'm willing. I don't even get mad at him. Like, I don't have the same personality bouncing back that him and his, other co-host Mike did. And Mike's not completely out, but he's just, I don't know. He's got stuff going on. That's fine. He does have 1 or 2 people that are interested, and I did say that I would probably man the show for them, meaning produce it, help a little bit with on that end to keep it going. So that's happening. Abso-fucking-lutely not. Our first episode is coming out this Tuesday. First episode in a while. It's a long one. We apparently had a lot to talk about, and it's about 2.5 hours long. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely be shorter after this. We just didn't want a time limit on our return back. We didn't want to feel pressured or rushed to end it. And I just don't think we'll be spending that long of time, on the next upcoming episodes. But basically, it's just like Leanne to it. It's basically any kind of things going on. We're kind of discussing that, giving our input on it. We discussed the Scooby Gang a little bit. We kind of recap on how we got together. We recapped the Supernatural Las Vegas and up and coming trips that we want to take. So, yeah, we're going to try to do weekly. Abso-fucking-lutely not. I don't know if that's going to work out or not, but we'll see how it goes. Even if it's just a few episodes a month, I'm good. 1 or 2, If
you do weekly, you're going to have to just do like small little episodes. That's the only way you can do that.
Exactly. So hopefully we can keep it interesting enough. In terms of Death Holler, like I mentioned during the Haunted Mansion, I am still shocked and in awe that we have made it to the American charts on Apple.
I would like for it to stay there or maybe go up, but it's even be there the one time is great.
Well, I noticed I was able to look at Apple charts outside of Chartable, which is who contacts us and lets us know where we are on certain charts. And on Apple charts, we were there. Did it say Death Holler? No, it said a new podcast, and it said that for a few podcasts that have made it to the charts that are technically unknown at this time, it just said new podcast. And I was like, motherfuckers, you better throw some respect on our name. So
get our name in your mouth.
Yes, keep our motherfucking names in your mouth. We'll find out in like a week or 2 when Chartable updates us if we've stayed on the charts. Hey, we might come off, we might come back. I don't know how that's gonna work, but people are noticing us in America enough to get us on the charts that we're being listened to, that we're in the top 200. And I'm like, okay, well, how many film review shows are there? It is on Apple. Apple does have a list of all of their film review shows, and we're smack in the middle of those. There's a lot of them. So the fact that we made it in top 200, to me, is impressive and more than what we could ask for, considering the only money we put into this show is into having an RSS feed. Of course, we Shudder. We're looking for, sponsors, but we pay for our Shudder because we're good fans.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, I caught something on Shudder last week. What was it? Oh, I'll have to get the name of it. I'll have to let you know afterwards what it was called. It was somewhat of a foreign film where these nuns were not nuns, but I guess they're nuns. They're working at a hospital or a convent of some sort with older folks, and the power keeps going out. It's like during the back in. It was also on The Crown where they kept having power outages because of something, coal shortage or.
They were doing strikes. I think I mentioned that movie to you like last season or something. It was they're not nuns, but like they're very similar, and and it's one night with this new person, and she's having to go through, and like and each floor is like is out of power, and she is seeing things as she's like going amongst the floors. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, and I did not. Okay, so the entire time I was watching that film, I didn't watch it till the end, but the entire time I was watching that film, I was on edge. It was the amount of anticipation and buildup, fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but yeah, I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if it'll pop up. No, it's not. But yeah, I was thoroughly enjoying it, and I was like, it was on live TV at the moment, so Shudder's version of live TV, anyways. So yeah, Shudder, sponsor us.
Let's see. That. Yeah, that's not it. I'll have to look it up because I can't remember what it was called. But it's a good movie.
Speaking of nuns, what are you thinking? Okay, the new Nun is coming out, and all I've seen is the poster, and I'm already like, nope, I'm good.
I actually want to see that because the first Nun I thought was okay, but it was. I know it's like the most hated of all the ones that came out, and I personally feel that the Curse of La Llorona. Sorry, I know that that's related, but I felt like it was the least of the ones in the Conjuring universe. With the Nun being like probably the next one up from that. Yes. Well, that was before the Conjuring 3. The Devil Made Me Do It. I did not like that at all, but the Nun 2 looks like it's going to be like they know that the first one kind of tanked, so they're doing better about it.
God, I didn't think it. I mean, I was terrified, so I loved the first one. Unofficial review is that I loved it. I might need to watch it again if I have the balls, and then watch this one coming up to tell you, okay, what do I think?
The one thing that I really liked about the first one was it was so isolated. Like there was just a couple of characters that were stuck in that place. And then the scenes with like the graveyard outside, I really liked all those.
I liked the graveyard scenes outside. I did like the end with the water. I don't know. I was with it. By the way,
the name of that movie is The Power.
The Power. Yes, I was just going to tell you. I looked it up. It's called The Power. That I think The Power is it's just very intriguing.
It's very atmospheric.
Yes.
It really does a good job with that.
Yeah. So, and I don't know. I loved it. It had me, I was like, what am I going to see? And not once did I see anything, and I was still terrified. So
there are a couple scenes where they show some stuff.
Okay.
But it's in the background. They do a good job of like knowing. Like the one thing that I really liked is they it's implied stuff. Like there's one scene in the movie where she sees like a face in like a in like behind frosted glass or something like that.
Yes.
And I mean,
I saw
they do
that.
little things like that,
Yeah.
But it's really good for what it is.
Yes.
As far as the next episode, we have talked about breaking up Chucky. Child's Playing in the Chucky movies, and like doing a little interstitial in between for the summer because we're in hot as balls part of summer right now.
Yeah.
Well, here is what I'm proposing that we do for the next episode. We mentioned this: High Tension.
Yes.
Ready or Not. And then
yes.
the Attack of the Bees, which I would like for you to watch, Sleepaway Camp.
Okay.
Because you need to see that final end of Sleepaway Camp because it is iconic.
Okay. And yeah, you've been pushing me to watch that one for a minute. So wait, I have High Tension and Wrong Turn during August. Is that what we're? Oh yeah, I guess we're heading in there, huh?
Yeah. Well, there's that, and Wrong Turn. Remember, has like 15 million movies, so we decided Ready or Not was a better. Like we wouldn't have to spend all that time trying to keep up with that one.
Yeah.
Because Wrong Turn also has like weird hillbilly mutants, and I don't know, that's its own little subgenre technically. But
yeah,
whatever.
It's fucking wild. So yeah, so High Tension and then Ready or Not.
Mm-hmm. And then Sleepaway Camp. Because
in September I have Ready or Not and Hatchet.
I think Ready or Not's better because remember you said it was you said, I think you specifically said it was wedding season.
September is wedding season. So are we keeping?
Oh, September is okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so shall we change August to High Tension and Sleepaway Camp?
Well, I mean, Sleepaway Camp's like still. Well, I mean, I guess it could be its own movie. It's really a B movie though, like big time.
Reverend, so, there is so many slashers. I'm sure during August when we do High Tension, I'm pretty sure we can do another slasher film. There's got to be another slasher film in August we can film with High Tension.
Oh, there's a ton of them. Well, we could do. I don't know which of the two of these is. I mean, this is Inside Baseball, and we'll wrap it up here in a second, but. There's Madman, which is kind of like a knockoff of, Friday the 13th.
Uh-huh.
There's, what is it? I'm blanking the name of it. There's one about Cropsey that's like that was that actually came out around the same time as the original Friday the 13th, and it was the movie that Tom Savini actually left Friday the 13th Part 2 and refused to do that movie to do this one instead. That one is pretty highly regarded. It's like a summer, slasher movie.
Yeah.
Because it's in a camp setting and there's sleepaway camp. So, I mean, we could, there's several that we could do with High Tension.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what we haven't. We're going to have to really look into. God, I loved Happy Death Day. I had that ring.
The Burning is the name of the movie I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
From 1981.
When are we supposed
It's not too bad. It has a young George Costanza in it. Jason, whatever his name is, that played George Costanza from Seinfeld. Like, it's a very young version of him, like in that movie and some others, and kind of a summer camp, like Friday the 13th. It was one of those, rip-off movies, but very well done because Savini's effects.
When are we supposed to do X? Weren't we supposed to do X and Pearl?
We talked about it, yeah.
Shall we just squeeze that in during August?
Yeah, I mean, they're set during the summer, technically, I guess, so that would work.
I think in August we should do High Tension and X and Pearl. And then where did you want to fit in the B film?
What, Sleepaway Camp?
Yes.
I mean, I was thinking that we do it in August because, I mean, when we get to the Friday the 13th in October, I mean, I could put The Burning with the Friday the 13th technically, but I mean, it's there's so many movies that we've left to discuss in that I don't even know if we have time for an Attack of the Bees. So.
Okay, so I've updated August to High Tension, X and Pearl, and Sleepaway Camp.
Okay.
Because that's going to be one of the B films we do. And then September right now I have Ready or Not and Hatchet.
All right. That sounds reasonable.
Yeah. So can I? Oh, yeah. There it goes. Updated. So, yeah, that's what the plan will be.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Because I knew Ready or Not was coming up here shortly.
Yeah,
so.
I'm excited for that one.
And then High Tension, I'm not watching in a while. I like the twist in that movie pretty well.
I've only seen it one time, and I remember the twist fucked me up. So, yeah.
All right, folks. With that, peace be with you.
And with your spirit.